When it comes to Ark, whether it's Ark Survival Evolved or Ark Survival Ascended, there's one thing that everyone can agree on. There are thousands of hours of content in this game, from taming to breeding to learning how to do just everything, boss fights, everything that is available to you in the open world. But there's one part of the game that not everyone has an easy time learning, and it can be especially challenging for new players to get into, and that is the hellhole that is known as a PvP side of Ark. In this video, I'm going to try to introduce players to the opening stages of PvP, just dip their feet in the water. And if this goes well, I am going to make this into a mini series where I explain the basics of just building, of ground PvP, of tame PvP, everything that you need to know to become a better player in Ark. So I hope through this mini series you'll learn a thing or two that help you become the player that you want to be. Alright, so to start off, the most important thing that I'm going to tell you just right off the jump, something that I can't personally help you with, but I mean, you know, something that will be the most effective in helping you is just find someone, some trymates, someone, one of your homies, whatever, who is better than you at playing the game. Anyone who's better than you at Ark that you're tribed with, playing with them, you're going to learn from them. You're going to, even if they're not telling you things and teaching you things, just seeing how they farm, how they build, how they PvP, whatever it is, you're gonna get better at the game. That's just a given. That's in any game you play, in anything you do, honestly, in life. Listening and following in someone else's footsteps is one of the best ways to improve. Playing alone, you can still improve for sure, but you need to basically teach yourself at that point. You need to recognize what you're doing wrong and learn from that. But if you are alone, one thing you could do is just fighting other people. You see what they do, how they build, maybe someone you're being raided by, you see how they're raiding you, and now you know in the future, hey, I can defend this in this way, you know, or I can do this shit that this guy's doing to me. Whatever it is, you know, now you know how to do it. But aside from that, the first main tip I have for you is don't make your characters a giant male character or whatever the standard may be, the standard characters. You can do this. Obviously just having one of these isn't gonna make you just bad at the game, but in any game that lets you change your character model, you're gonna want to go for the smallest, and that's just a given because the smaller the character, like I have a load here, you see how big this character in the background is, and now I'm like a third of the size. In any PvP scenario, it's going to be better to have a character that looks like this because you are harder to hit. You are not going to get hit as much as if you were a bigger character. So, just by choosing this, right before we even get into the game itself, you will improve in your PvP just a little bit. You're obviously not going to be better at the game, but you're going to have a better time surviving just by doing this. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when you get into the game is you're going to spawn West Zone 2, which is going to put you somewhere on this island, either around there on the back or down here somewhere along the beach, and you're going to make your way over to this forest node right here. Now what these nodes do is they give you XP, as you can now see in the bottom left. They give you XP, and for the Special Explorer node, or the 4X, they'll give you, or I don't know if it's 3X or 4X actually, but it'll give you a boost to how much XP you gain, more so than your normal node. And for example, a normal node would be one like right here. This right one, yeah, right here. This is a normal Explorer node. So when you get this one, it's a 2x, so I think those are 3x. I'm not too sure, honestly. I forgot. But it's more. So you want to get that one first, and then grab the rest of the nodes. You can look up a note run map or a note run tutorial. I can't go through all of them. This video would be way too long. But yeah, the first thing you want to do is that note run. You can get yourself all the way up to the 80s on official, honestly, doing that if you get every note. But honestly, just get yourself to like high 70s, mid 70s, you're probably fine. Just high enough to get turrets and C4, all of that. things that you're going to need quickly, where you can't really afford to not be a high enough level to craft them. Now, after you get to level whatever it is, that when you finish your run, one of the main things you want to focus on, especially on an official server or on a server where you don't auto unlock heavy turrets. Now, heavy turrets are these right here. You learn them at level 100, so a lot of unofficial servers you'll automatically hit level 100, or you'll get it after like 5 minutes of a no run. And the thing about these turrets is they do a lot of damage. They're pretty much 4 times as strong as an auto turret. And you want these because it's pretty much impossible to raid or run a base, I should say, with a heavy turret on it. With auto turrets, it's a lot easier to raid early game, but if you can get heavy turrets like day 1, you pretty much need to soak them, and your chances of surviving the night are way higher. So you want to try and get heavy turrets on the first day or a second day, depending on what server you're on. On an official server, having heavy turrets will keep you safe for a long time. On an unofficial server, you might be good for like a day, depending. If it's like a 20x, you're probably good for like a day with just heavies, but you're gonna want to get tech quickly. Now, for the next thing, for standard ground PvP, right? Let's say you spawn in on the beach, and there's people who are next to you, they're fighting you, you're farming, right? Your go-to weapon should be a torch. Now, why a torch? Torches in Ark are just broken. As you can see with the damage numbers, they do 2 ticks of burn per hit. And the burn does more damage than the initial hit, and it does a set value after that. So, it's basically a melee flamethrower. And while flamethrowers are a lot harder to get as a new player, you can literally make a torch in 30 seconds when you spawn in on any server. And with torches, I should say, you will kill any player pretty much. The fire penetrates armor. So if I hit a parasol, like I'm doing 31 damage a tick there, 2 times, so that's 31 plus the initial hit. That's almost 100 damage just from one swing at the torch. Now, the best part is just that the fact that it ignores armor, all armor. So if you're new to a server that maybe didn't just wipe, let's say you're joining an official server that hasn't wiped in months, and there's someone in full flak on the beach, and let's say they're fighting you, but they're missing every shot. They're absolutely terrible at the game. If you have a torch and they don't have med brews and they're not smart enough to run in the water, you can kill that person theoretically in just a few swings of the torch. Even if they have 40 levels on you, good flak, weaponry, everything, if they don't kill you and you have a torch, you can kill them almost instantly. I wouldn't say instantly, but you can kill them very quickly. Using a torch, I actually have a full video on my channel. I'll probably plug it on the screen now somewhere, but I do have a full video where I go over, and our Carno Cave is being raided by a tribe that's bigger than us and has a lot more equipment than us, and we defend the entire base with just torches and bolas. So a torch is your best friend early game. Don't forget that. On servers where torches are banned, I mean, you can go with a club, or you can try using just a spear, bow and arrow. But none of those weapons will come close to how effective a torch would be. Only a club could come close, and on a server where people are able to boost their fortitude by a lot, it'll be a lot harder for you to get knocked out. So, that'll be the second thing I go over here. And that's going to be stats. How should you level your character? Well, on ASA, I'm not on ASC right now, and a lot of these tips will apply to ASC, but for Ark Survival Ascended, you can't level movement speed. So that frees up a lot of points that you would have put in movement speed. So I would go for a little bit of fortitude, just so that things don't one-tap you, however much you feel. I don't think it's supposed to get 6, I think you get 2 or 4 on official. This might be single player settings, but you can check that. Just get a little bit of fortitude, 10, 20 maybe. Crafting skill, personally, I like pumping a little bit of crafting skill. I'll go on official, I'll give myself like 150 just so that in a fight and I'm crafting a bolo, I have a few seconds to just craft it a little bit faster. But what does crafting skill do? It makes you, as I said, crafting is a little bit faster. On top of that, it also gives a buff to things. So if you have a blueprint for, let's say, a saddle, and you have crafting skill, you'll get a little bit better than the blueprint because of your crafting skill. The quality will be a little bit better. Now, typically you don't want to put many levels in crafting skill because whenever you're trying to craft good things, you'll use a mind wipe which resets all of your points and you'll just put them all into crafting skill. That way you're able to just craft the best gear possible out of the blueprints you have. So if you, this is optional, you don't have to pump any, but I like pumping a little bit just to have a little bit of an edge. Melee damage. Early game, pumping a little bit of melee is pretty good. Just because with the spear, even a torch, the initial damage will be buffed. Using a club, you'll knock people out faster. It can be kind of helpful when you're on the beach still fighting, or for a first day where people don't really have guns. Later game, melee damage, I mean, that's really up to what kind of guy you are, but I don't really fuck with high melee damage late game. Wait, this is a big one. So yeah, I don't think it should go up by 15. But wait for official, I would put like the majority, not the majority, but like maybe a third of my points in a weight. Get to like 400 weight, 300 to 500 weight would probably be a good range to reach. Oxygen, I mean, you could put a few in oxygen just so you can swim a little bit, but that's also optional. I wouldn't really do that. Stamina, I would definitely pump stam to like around the 200 mark on official, just so that you can run without getting stammed out. You can fight, you can do whatever. I would do a little bit more stamina on ASA than I would do on ASE. Why? Because on ASE, you'll have the movement speed to compensate. You'll go further with less stamina. On ASA, you can't really go that far. Since you are stuck, everyone is at the same speed. Whoever runs out of... Okay, so my recording software cut off here, but basically what I'm saying is pump a little bit more stam on ASA than you would on ASE, but you do want to pump up to around 200 on bullet. And then the rest of your points go into health. Basically, whatever you have left, the 40, 50 points you have left, it all into your HP. Very important, especially on ASA. Alright. So, my next tip for you guys in beginning on Ark is going to be where to farm. It's pretty simple, especially on Ark Survival Ascended. Your main farming areas are going to be mountains, such as mountain there, mountain, 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 mountain. Every single one of these has a considerable amount of metal, obsidian, such as right here. And if we go over here, these icebergs in the back will have your poly and oil. You get poly in Ark from killing baby penguins. If I can find any. They're usually on these icebergs. There might not be any because it's a single player world and I haven't rendered any icebergs. But on a server, these will be full of penguins, and you kill them, you get poly from killing them. Cool. Now you know where to farm. It's pretty simple. Once you get farming, let's just say you want to build a base somewhere. I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to cut to this, but I'm going to show you guys 3 different starter bases, and you're going to tell me which one you think is the strongest and which one you think is the weakest. Alright guys, so I ended up making only 2 of the bases because I think my point can be shown with just these 2 examples. So, I want you to go into this with a few things in mind. 1, this is going to be, in this hypothetical scenario, a few hours into the wipe. Let's say 1 or 2 hours into wipe, you're a 3-man tribe and it's an official server, so you haven't had time to make much progress. So, with that in mind, which of these 2 bases would be a better base to have by that point in time? The answer should be obvious. I made it specifically so that it's obvious. I'm going to give you a second to think, and I'm just going to tell you because it should be common sense. This base on the right is 100 times better than the base on the left here. We can go through a checklist and I can tell you every single benefit that this base has over this one. Just real quick. Turrets on the top. They aren't on the top on this base. You can land up here, you won't get shot. You can blow in and that's it. It's GG, it's over. Only one turret on the side. Someone can come to the side of the base and they're only gonna have one turret to deal with. The third problem is it's just comedically large. There's no reason for this base to be this large. This is a 5x4, I believe. And keep in mind, we're ignoring the location. Obviously, you wouldn't build here. I'll explain that a little bit more later, where you should build and where you shouldn't. But you wouldn't be building here. Why is this too big? Because like I said, it's a 3-man tribe, and you are on a 1x, a 2x, a 3x, at most a 10x server. You should not be building a large box like this. You can't defend it adequately, and on top of that, you are not going to use all of this space efficiently. It's just too much to manage. This base over here, especially for a low rate server, is the best you can do pretty much. 2x2, even up to a 3x3 would be alright. These turrets are compact. They have line of sight on the roof. You can't land up here, you can get shot. And on each side you will get shot by at least 2 turrets. And you can easily expand on that. The inside of the base, it's small, it's a 2x2, but you have room for everything. You can have your generator, you can have your bed, you can have your refining forges, on the ceiling refining forges, you can have a fabricator, smithy, and you can have your mortar and pestles on the ground. You have room for everything a 3-man will need to farm early game in Ark. So, why is this not a location you want to build in? Well, it's a volcano, it's high traffic, and it's very out in the open. You could get away with building at a spot like this, where it's flatter, you have more room to put turrets down. But, I mean, you just really don't want to do that, especially as it's a spawn for things like Karchas and Gigas. It's just not a location you really want to be in. You're so out there, you will end up being one of the first people raided because everyone is going to know where you are built. So unless you're bigger than everyone else on the server, I would not build up here. But that's besides the point. The main point I'm trying to make is that building in Ark is common sense. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not as complicated as it seems. It can be complicated, but it's common sense. Where can the turret aim and shoot? Well, that's where you should put the turret, in the place where it has the most line of sight. Where can it see? Where can it shoot? How big should you build the base? You should build it big enough for it to take all of your tribe's needs into consideration. Obviously, a tribe 3 weeks into the game will not fit in here. You're not going to have room in here. But an hour into wipe, this functions perfectly for what you need. The need to be bigger. Alright, so moving on from building. Let's say you already know how to build the basics. You already know about the meta, you already know the notes. But you just keep asking, why can I never make it far in Ark? Because I'm always dying to something. I don't know what to craft, I don't know what weapons to craft, I don't know what things to do. I can't make it that far because things just go wrong for me before. In Ark, weaponry is really simple, so I'm just going to keep this really short. Sniper, you're going to use a fabricated sniper if you're good with hit scan weapons. What is hit scan? It aims wherever your cursor is. That's it. That's all hit scan is. So wherever your cursor is, the weapon is going to fire. No matter how far away, it'll instantly hit it. That's it. If you're good at aiming where something is, shotgun or sniper's your friend. Shotgun is also hit scan, but with the spread, should be in your kit always. Pump shotguns in Ark are just fucking broken. Okay, you can kill tanks with them. You can do massive amounts of DPS with them. The more situational weapon is a compound bow. Compound bows are good because they ignore armor. They do massive damage while ignoring armor. But the thing about compound bows is you need to aim where something is going, not where something is. For a player, or for a tame, that's not as big of a deal. But for a player target, it is a lot harder, as you can imagine, hitting another player with the compound bow than it is to hit a tame. So compound bows, if you're really good at leading your shots and you can deal with a horrible hit registration, compound bow is going to be your best friend. It penetrates armor of players. You can one-tap headshot people with them if your compound bow does enough damage and they don't have as much health. And yeah, they're gonna be your best friend for kit collecting. What else is there? Well, let's just go through real quick. You have your crossbow. Crossbows better always have it with grapples late game, so you can get out of situations you don't want to be in. You should always have a grapple cutter. What is a grapple cutter? When you get grappled in Ark by another player, you are at the mercy of the player unless you have a sword, a hatchet, or a pipe. If someone were to grapple you and you see them grapple you, you're being pulled by them, you see wherever the string is from the grapple and you just swing at it with a hatchet or a sword. Eventually you'll cut it and you'll be free. You need one of these late game because you need to be able to defend yourself from being grappled. The next thing that you need in your kit. Long necks are good early game, so are simple pistols. I'd rather have a simple pistol, it's more DPS. And both of these function like the fabricated sniper. They're just long necks one shot, pistol has 6 shots in it. So yeah, this is up to you. You're not going to use these forever, so just pick whichever one you like more. Double barrel shotgun, very, very widespread. Not too sure if it's good if you bullet someone. That's like the ideal situation. Bullet someone and you can double pump the fuck out of them. The next thing that you're gonna want to do is avoid the assault rifle. They're good if you're aimbotting, basically. I'll just leave it at that. Flamethrower, most broken thing in the game right now. Flamethrowers will pretty much 2-tap anyone unless they have med brews or beer or wyvern milk or whatever. Flamethrower, broken. Absolutely broken. The best way to kill people. Doesn't damage their flak, doesn't do anything. It'll just kill someone, basically a free kill. You can use it off the back of the stego, everything. They're just not fair. I hate telling you to use one because of how unfair they are. Rocket launcher. You can rocket people, just be careful not to break your own shit or kill yourself with them. There's also homing rockets, which can be good against flyers. But yeah, in Ark, there's really not that many weapons to choose from. The variety in Ark comes from the quality of the weapons that you're using. So the better the weapon, the more damage. Now, it's all just a matter of preference at the end of the day. Which weapon you like the most, whether you would PvP with a sniper or a compound bow. But I'm going to tell you just straight up, in Ark, the best thing you can do is get experience playing the game. That's probably another one of those main tips I can tell you. In Ark, it doesn't matter if you are a master tamer, a master breeder, a master whatever you are. You can be a god at ground PvP with the sniper. You can be just the best player who has ever touched a sniper, human aimbot, and you can still get shit on. You can still get fucked playing a full wipe. Why? Because in a survival game like Ark, it does not matter how good you are at fighting. It does not matter that you can hit every single shot of a sniper. Will that carry you? Will that get you kits? And will that save your base every now and then? Yeah. But if you can't build and you're building a base like the base on the volcano, like the big base on the volcano, you could have the best aim in the world, but someone runs up on you while you're farming and you're just gonna get wiped. It's that simple. The best thing you can do in Ark is be decent, mid, even bad at everything. That way, you at least have a little bit of experience in everything. If you can build a base like this, you can be the worst aimer on the planet, never hit a single Fabby shot, but it's fine because you might not even need to touch one the entire wipe. You can get away with PvPing on a dino the entire wipe. You can get away with using a compound bow your entire wipe. All that matters is that you know how to build, you know how to use a tame, you know how to PvP to the extent where you know that you are better with a compound bow than a sniper rifle. That player will win all the time in a full wipe against a Fabby sniper god. That's what makes Ark so fun, I think. The thing that everyone has something they're decent at, and everyone can be mid at the game, which makes them good at the game. The most important thing to be good at in Ark is game sense. As long as you know what everything does, you will be good at the game. It's that simple. You know where to farm, you know where to tame, you know where to go. You are going to instantly become better at the game. It's just through practice. It doesn't matter how good you are at any specific thing as long as you know how to do it. So, what else is there really to learn about Ark? The truth is, there's really not a lot. I'm going to, in a general sense, I should say, there's really not a lot more that I can tell you. I'm going to go through and I'm going to make I'm going to turn this into a little series where I go through and let's say I'm going to show you how exactly to build, maybe for beginners, how to build for an intermediate player, how to build for expert players, and I'll do different builds that showcase how to explain it. I'm going to go through, I might do a farming video, how to farm in certain locations for beginners, experts, etc. How to PvP on the ground, how to PvP with tames. I can do all of these things. So if you guys find this video entertaining, if you found it interesting, more importantly, let me know and I'll go through and I'll make those more detailed videos. Because once I started recording this, I found out that it's really a lot more difficult to cover a broad sense of Ark. There's so much content in this game that I'm just gonna put this out there and you guys let me know. Anyways, thank you all for watching. More videos coming soon. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your night or day, whatever time it is for you. I'll see ya.